All right, so January 6th is in the news again, and one of the biggest misconceptions that needs to be corrected in this generation is not only the 2020 election steal and some of the misconception, the conspiracy around that, but also with regards to this insurrection and how MAGA was quote unquote violent, trying to overthrow the election, the Capitol, but really it was a planned attack that was made to appear like that MAGA and these Trump supporters were violent. So I want to talk a little bit about why it's going viral, who's bringing it up, and some of the new revelations behind it, because right now there's a lot of progress in the news with the perception, but one of the things that needs to be corrected is one's perception around what the truth is and what really happened, because the narrative, the media is painting it one way, but as we are seeing year by year, more things are coming out, and some of these conspiracies, some of these misconceptions are being corrected. So let's get into it, talk about what the update is and what's going on. All right, so recently the DOJ announced a nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. So this was as a result of a massive payout pool created as part of a legal settlement to resolve a $10 billion lawsuit that President Donald Trump filed against the IRS over leaking his tax returns. So this was admitted. It was shown to be illegal by the IRS, by some contractor who gave it to the news and to media, and all that went viral some time ago. But really, just recently, in the last week, there had been a settlement. And this, in some sense, from the media's perspective, is controversial because this fund is going to compensate people that were unfairly targeted by previous administrations, and it allows pardoned January 6 rioters to apply for these payouts. And also there are a lot of pushback. People, especially Democrats, don't want this to be, in their words, a slush fund to help these people, because again, the perception is from the media or liberal side is that these guys were bad and all that stuff. But really, as I've been saying, there was a lot of innocence. Many others have talked about it, and we're going to get into some testimony and other things shortly. Now, many people, including Elon Musk here, helped this go ultra viral in recent days, where back on the 19th, he reposted a video back from December 2024 when the bombshell J6 report came out from the Inspector General and I believe the DOJ. So this video, I want to show just the first couple of minutes of it. But again, back December 13th, 2024, this was a day after this report by the DOJ Inspector General was released. And this was on December 12th, 2024. So this is not new news, but people are being reminded of this. So listen to what this report is saying.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own Inspector General says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The director was hiding something, so Congress asked the question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's time.
Ray's right. The FBI didn't have undercover agents at January 6th. They had confidential human sources. So what's the difference? Well, a confidential human source doesn't get health insurance or a pension. They're just freelancing for the feds. rats in MAGA hats. They're basically paid informants that the FBI runs out of headquarters. A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now. And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life. So these guys say, yes, sir. And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside. And these confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver.
Now, be careful what he's saying here, because, again, it's easy to assume that these guys are bad guys. And, again, I'm not saying that they are or not. I'm just saying that this is his particular opinion of them being paid off and all that stuff. But, again, if you're not an undercover agent, which Christopher Wray, I guess, in some sense, truthfully told, but are these informants actually bad guys that were sold out that then turned and then helped the good guys, the white hats, but they were blackmailed or they were used in a negative way, and only then to be turned into this double agent, dual agent type of asset? Now, remember, the whole media was looking at this immediate aftermath and saying, look, there was no undercover FBI agents and there was no evidence of feds and all that stuff inciting attacks, meaning that they wanted to, again, blame it on MAGA and people that were innocently going through the Capitol building and all that stuff, saying that these weren't instigated by them. Now, as you know, there is a big lawsuit going on with BBC and Trump where they spliced his speech. And this is the, if you want to say, infamous sort of words that people took away, saying that Trump instigated and caused some insurrection to have people march to the Capitol. Again, listen specifically to the edited version versus the actual version. And again, people don't understand this because they didn't watch it or was there. And I actually personally was there in this crowd far away, heard it with my own ears. But again, people, the media are taking clips and splices of that. So listen carefully.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Now, the two clips spliced together were 55 minutes apart. Now, this is the corrected version.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. But I said, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong. Can't have happened. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Our exciting adventures and boldest endeavors have not yet begun.
What happened here today was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States. Those who choose to continue to support is a dangerous gambit by objecting to the results of a legitimate democratic election.
Now, again, look how it was painted. This was big news back in the day and even through now, where they took Trump and said, look, he incited violence. But really what he was saying is that separately, we need to fight in the sense of, symbolically speaking, we need to make sure that we are active and we are supportive and all these things instead of passive. But at the same time, he was also saying, let's go march to the Capitol and support our senators, congressmen, and it was directly said there, but again, spliced together by the media. Now, President Trump subsequently, in the next day, within a day, had posted two videos that from Newsmax was talking about some of that and correcting all of these things, and especially talking about that $1.7 billion compensation fund. So this whole thing in terms of showing why there was misconception and all of that stuff, and also with Ashley Babbitt and all of that shooting, condemning it, and all that stuff. And then a second video, which was much longer, but he posted this as well. And what's also interesting is that new video caught the body cams of some of these officers where they were trying to identify each other. And so there's proof here where Pelosi's Capitol Police, as they identify undercover officers in the January 6th crowd, a U.S. Capitol officer detailed how to identify officers embedded in a crowd. So let's quickly listen to this video.
Short guy, dark hair, black vest, thin blue line thing on. dark hair, and he's got like a little 27 or something on his hip. No police identification on him at all. I couldn't get to him because there were so many people. But just keep an eye on white male. White male, dark hair. All right. It looked like a grayish black, maybe a digital fatigue. Do
non-uniform guys have any identifiers? Like wristband?
They will have a wristband. Their guns will have a candy stripe on the barrel.
Okay.
I don't know the wristband color, but they'll have a wristband somewhere, okay?
Now again, Real Robert here saying some commentary. January 6th was staged in order to disrupt the official proceedings as a cover for the actual crimes committed on November 3rd, 2020, the overthrow of the U.S. government. And this is, of course, something I've talked about for a long time, separate topic, but related. And remember that Inspector General's report from December 2024 saying 26 FBI confidential human sources, informants, not undercover agents, were in D.C. on January 6th in connection with the event. So again, these informants can be bad and they turn good like double agents. They could be hired and used as contractors by the FBI. They could be one of a number of different types of people. But officially, as Ray was saying, they were not undercover actual agents. Now again, the media and many others are going to paint Christopher Wray, as being bad. But what does Q say about that? Post 1122 says, trust Sessions, trust Wray, trust Kansas, trust Horowitz, trust Huber. Post 433, trust Wray. And then post 787, trust Sessions, trust Wray. And then post 117 here, if you scroll down, says, why is C. Wray, Christopher Wray, important with regards to these releases? So the idea here is that Christopher Wray is actually a white hat in disguise and maybe looking like it's a bad person or a black hat or acting in a certain way, but he is to be trusted per Q. Now this guy, Twins Daddy, puts together a nice commentary on this infamous person who has been in and out during the testimony, the congressional hearing, and being boots on the ground. So listen to what he has to say.
All eyes on Michael Fanone. This is the guy that testified about the J6ers, and he was all of these things that turned out that he was none of these things, right? Take a look. Remember when he testified and he cried in front of the panel and he said that he was beaten unconscious and everything? All eyes. And look, here's this man right here giving him the big medal. All stolen valor. All eyes. And remember this with all these cables and wires coming out of him. All eyes. He said he was beaten unconscious. He had a heart attack, traumatic brain injury, burns, loss of consciousness, multiple taser injuries, chemical irritant exposure, PTSD, physical assault injuries, head and neck trauma. All lies. Now you have people out there and they see you, Michael. They're going to harass you. You're not going to walk the streets again. That's for sure. And just look at all the awards this guy gets. Rubs up with Nancy Pelosi, rubs up with Joe Biden, crying in front. It's all lies. Go watch his body cam footage.
Now we have to take a look at some video between Maria B. from Fox and Kash Patel. But here, this commenter, we have it all, says this is why Wray couldn't come clean in his congressional hearing. They kept asking if, quote, FBI agents, end quote, had infiltrated J6. It wasn't, quote unquote, FBI agents. It was confidential informants. FBI either paid or backed them into a corner, telling them if they didn't do it, they'd be in trouble. So again, as I mentioned, either they were paid and being used corruptly, or they were bad to begin with, and they were backed into a corner, telling them if they didn't do it, to expose and see what the connection is all the way up top, then they'd be in trouble. So it could have been a multi sort of layered operation to flush out some of the deep-rooted people that are higher than them to say, who did this? Go ahead and do this quote-unquote trouble, but at the same time, you need to rat out who this was. So listen to what Kash Patel had to say.
What actually happened on January 6th?
So there is, as it seems that I find myself in a similar situation as Russiagate. Because on January 6th, in the prior Trump administration, I was the chief of staff to the Department of Defense. And I spent 4 years and a minor fortune litigating the truth because people politicized what actually happened on January 6th. And we now know unequivocally that President Trump lawfully authorized the deployment of National Guard, and me as the head of the Office of Secretary of Defense, with the Secretary of Defense, took that action. When it finally came in, because it had to have the governor and mayor of D.C.'s approval on it. That's the way the law works. And once it finally came in on January 6th, remember, we offered to them days beforehand, and they rejected it. We've put out the letters, and your show has done great coverage showing how it was rejected. We mobilized the fastest cold start in Washington, D.C. since World War II, and the largest occupation of D.C. by the National Guard since the American Revolution. That's what happened on January 6th, but what you and your viewers want to know, now that we've beat back that disinformation campaign with actual truth, is what was the FBI doing? Well, we got answers coming. We just found a trove of information, and it's on its way to Capitol Hill right now. And they've asked, and they're getting them, and you're getting answers on January 6th. You're getting answers on what sourcing was utilized, what money was utilized, how many assets were utilized, who made those decisions. You're getting it. We can only control the FBI, but you're getting it from the FBI.
Were there FBI agents undercover egging people on?
Like I said, that answer is coming. And it's on its way to Congress.
You're about to, I saw it. I saw the portfolio of information. We dug far and wide to find it. And I'm pretty sure now we have a conclusive, definitive answer. But you and the public are going to have it. You're going to see it in writing over to Capitol Hill. But I just want to be sure we're clear, having been an agent and a police officer. There is a difference between an agent, I know you know this, I don't mean to sound ridiculous. An agent, meaning a trained GS 1811 federal agent, and a source or an asset. There's a difference. So when you see the material, which I promise you is coming, again, I'm not asking you to trust us. I know it's coming because I saw it yesterday. When you see it, I just want you to understand that it's not an apology for anything.
Thank you.
But there's a difference between agents and assets. Yeah. And I just hope when
Now, again, listen to how sensitive they are about making sure that there's a differentiation, protecting some of these people. But at the same time, this whole operation, there's some operation going on. You could go, again, like I said, one of two ways. Corrupt, bad, these guys are all bad, or they're being used, they're being framed, they're double agents, and they're being used for white hat purposes when they were originally black hat operatives. And I just want to read a quick testimony by this person, John Cameron, who went viral talking about him being there. So he said, I am a J6er. I protested a stolen election. Walked right past the police through an open door, and the police let me in. My father's stepson turned me in to the FBI. My house was raided. They branded me a traitor, an insurrectionist, slapped me on a terrorist watch list. I pled guilty to illegal picketing, a Class B offense misdemeanor with the same sentencing guidelines as walking your dog off leash on a national park. They swore no prison time. They lied. Judge Hogan sentenced me to 30 days for not being remorseful enough and 3 years probation to tie me up through elections, an unconstitutional split sentence. My judge, Judge Hogan, called J6 worse than the War of 1812. All I did was chant, stop the steal inside the Capitol and wear the wrong t-shirt. God bless the J6ers. Here's his video here.
Doing what they think is.
And then Julie here sums it up pretty nicely. J6 will all be exposed for what it was. A planned attack to make it appear that MAGA was violent, a cover-up of the rigged and stolen 2020 election. Remember, the idea here is the perception that's being built or has been built over time of demonizing them to make it look like they are worse than they are, that perception of what it is, when really objectively, if you look at it, either they were innocent bystanders. Sure, there might have been one or two or a few people that have had more of a charged emotion, but as they were going through, they were picketing, they were instigated by these undercover assets or whoever it is that were instigating it, and it made it look like they were worse off. But really what was happening was the actual steal by the Democrats or whoever the top people are. And again, Trump, many of us have talked about and said that 2020, there was something off about the whole thing, but they painted it, made it look like Trump, J6ers, many others, have been the people that were wrong about it. And this whole perception is very sensitive. A lot of people get a little bit like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with that situation. And your perception makes you feel like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I'm on thin ice with those types of people. But that's what they're trying to do to make it look like you are a bad person. The same thing happened with anti-vaxxers or people that were hesitant about that, people that were denying certain things. They point at you and say, oh, you're an election denier. Oh, you're one of those people. And that is how an image appears so that you would judge somebody. So this is something that the Lord sees what happens objectively, and he can correct, he can heal. But at the same time, some of this truth has to come out, and especially the justice that needs to be done by whoever was involved. All of that is being done. It's processing and it's moving forward in a just way. So just want to give you guys this quick update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. More to come. And also, if you guys want to help me out, would love it. You guys know I'm listener supported, going through a rough transition season right now, so would love all the prayer and financial support that I could get. All the information is in the givesendgo.com link in the description. I also have PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. Love you guys. More to come. Talk to you guys very soon.